have our differentiation, right? We have our lesson procedures where we've explained how we're going to teach our lesson. We have our differentiation so we can ensure that we're meeting the needs of all the kids we're working with. Then we want to think about, well, how are we going to assess, right? How are we going to give kids the chance to practice and an opportunity for us to be able to see whether they have or have not mastered their objective? And remember, again, you want your assessment to be aligned to your objective. So in this particular lesson, we have two different objectives. We have one objective about the counting element, and then we have another objective about understanding the plant life cycle. So we want to make sure that we think about how are we going to assess, how are we going to check for understanding for both of those objectives. So in order to do that, we want to have two different ways of assessing. So to check for understanding, I'm going to observe the children counting and record if they can count to 10 with one-to-one correspondence. And to check for understanding of the plant life cycle, remember in the lesson procedures, we talked about how at one of the stations, the kids were going to be, they would have a worksheet and they were going to cut and they were going to put the different images in order. So I would assess that through their work sample. I would collect their pictures and look and see. Now, something that Amy and I talked about when we were developing this example is that our second station was about having the kids plant a plant. And that, what's nice about that is it's going to continue to extend the learning from this lesson, right? Our standard was about understanding the plant life cycle. Our specific objective for this lesson was that kids would know the plant life cycle by putting images in the right order without more than one in place. So my assessment is assessing both of those. However, I can come back to a subsequent or follow-up lesson for that second station activity where we're going to spend some time watching and observing those plants grow. So even though that's something that the kids are working on, it's not directly stated here in the assessment section because it's not directly connected to that, to the objective. So when we think about our assessment piece, remember, we want to tie it back to exactly what's happening in our objectives for our lesson.